You are sitting at home one night, just doing your normal thing, when someone busts through the front door with a weapon and begins firing. In the case I have for you next, catching a double murderer takes all of about 15 hours to resolve, the result shocking the community and police, but not the victim's family. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the author of dozens of true crime books. I've dedicated the past 25 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me next for this Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. "70-year-old Joe Bailey and his wife, 69-year-old Gail, are home one night in June 2024, enjoying another early summer evening in Washington, Utah. It's a warm night. Not much of anything going on in Washington, a small town way down in the most southwestern corner of the state, close to the borders of Nevada and Arizona. They call the area Utah's Dixie, because the Mormon pioneers who settled there came to that region specifically to farm. Joe Bailey is a tough dude. Salt and pepper mustache and goatee with a long tail, receding hairline, his gray locks parted in the center. In the photos I have seen, he sports a stern look, a stare that could send you retreating backwards with your tail between your legs, for sure. Born in San Francisco in 1954, his family later reports that Joe goes by the name Blue and had loved to respond whenever asked where he went to college by saying the School of Hard Knocks. According to published reports, that hard knocks cliche was a joke based in fact because Joe spent much of his youth living between foster homes. He called his grandmother the second meanest woman in the world. His family has said that Joe, and I quote them here, bootstrapped himself to a career as a maritime engineer, becoming one of the most well-known and well-respected men in his field. At a young age, he met the mother of his children, the bane of his existence and the woman of his dreams, and spent the rest of his days dedicated to being the father that he never had, the provider of infinite love, a cliff upon which no sea or earthly force could break, and a glowing beacon in the murkiest of ocean storms, of which he sailed often." End quote. They called Joe, and again I need to say I'm quoting here, the master of the 1,000-yard stare. A true hot rodder, Joe restored, modified, sold, traded, and bought more old Chevys than a dealership, except for a brief midlife crisis that ended in him choosing no car over Mopar until he bought another Chevy. End quote. I think you get the picture with those extended quotes. The guy was tough, eccentric, outspoken, and so well loved by those in his life. On that night of June 24th, 2024, Joe and Gail are inside their Washington, Utah house, going about their lives like any other night. Gail is sitting on the couch watching television in the living room, and Joe is inside the master bedroom getting ready to retire. Without warning, someone walks into the house, aims a gun at Gail, and fires multiple times, killing her instantly, and then proceeds to walk toward the bedroom where Joe, trying to figure out what in the name of God is going on, gets up and begins coming down that hallway. Gail's murderer sees him, points the weapon at Joe, and unloads, killing him as well. At home that night, inside the house in another room, is one of Joe and Gail's boys and his wife. And when they hear gunshots, they head for the back door and bust out as the killer follows, shooting at them and, thank goodness, missing. Joe's son runs to a neighbor's house and immediately calls the police. And so a search gets underway for a double murderer suspect who is obviously armed and very dangerous, and now out in the community. You'd have to ask, were Joe and Gail targeted? Or was this a random home invasion act of brutal violence? I can tell you this, that in all my years of doing the work I do, this sort of random home invasion double murder is very rare. There always seems to be, in these cases, a close, personal connection somewhere. All you have to do is find it. Let's take our only break of the episode here and come back to conclude this Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps shortcut. Gail Bailey was born in Edmonds, Washington, and attended Granite Falls High School. Shortly after graduating, she met Joe, who quickly becomes, the Bailey family reports, her lifelong love, father to her children, and the primary target of her sharp verbal barbs. I'm going to use another extended quote here from Gail's family, who says she was a mother of infinite patience, right up until she wasn't. Grace was never her middle name, and telling her to calm down was an act of reverse psychology guaranteed to add fuel to the fire. Gail loved her pranks, loved teasing and being teased, gave as good as she got, and was the single worst singer in the history of humankind. Birthday songs from Gail were a punishment of her love that everyone received and couldn't be ignored or avoided. She spoiled her grandchildren rotten, smothered her family with love, and raised her hellion children solo for weeks and months while her husband sailed the 7 seas. End quote. As many of you who listen regularly know, I rarely use long quotes like I have in this episode. But I have found the quotes so descriptive and charming, I had to include them. I mean, this family loved these people. Even in death, they saw the beauty, the grace, and some humor. I've got mad respect for that. They paid homage to these people. So again, I'll say, you get the picture. This family loves sarcasm and witty banter, even private jokes, and certainly thought the world of Joe and Gail, which makes what happens next even that much more tragic and unbelievable. Those two wonderful people, so much adored by their family, have been viciously mowed down inside their own home in a hail of gunfire, with a suspect now on the loose during a Utah summer night. It's kind of maddening to think that one minute you're in your living room watching America's Got Talent, and the next you're staring down the barrel of a gun before being murdered. But not only that, who is staring at you down that barrel? I'm not sure why some people do the things they do, and why some murderers, knowing there is likely zero chance that they are going to get away with it, still go forward. I understand there is deep-seated rage and volcanic anger involved in many instances, as it is likely here, but I am also interested in the idea of when this need to commit murder in this way goes from fantasy to reality for a person like this. We need to take this aspect of murder more seriously. We need to study it, find out where we are going wrong, because we have failed some people on some level, and we need to understand how and why. As the search for the suspect begins, Joe Bailey's son, who was in the house at the time of the murders and literally chased out of the home, tells police, "I know who this is, but there is a catch." As authorities come out and ask the public for help in their search for the suspect, warning local residents that an armed murderer is stalking the town, they explain that the killer, formerly known as Colin Bailey, one of the Bailey's children, is undergoing gender transition and is now Mia Bailey. So in effect, she could look different from the description they are giving to the public. That's what they're trying to say. It was back in July 2023 when Mia Bailey filed an application to change her name and gender legally. Less than a week after she did that, her brother sought a protective order against Mia for a reason not yet made public. Mia's application was granted, but her brother's was denied. Later into the same night the Baileys were murdered by their son, now daughter, someone from nearby St. George calls in and claims to have spotted Mia in that town near Horseman Park and River Road, a densely wooded area. As authorities rush to the scene, they confirm it's her. They tell Mia to stop where she is. This thing is over. There is no way you are getting out of this. She pulls a handgun out from her waistband and holds it to her head and begins walking away from those officers now moving in on her. As she moves toward the woods, officers lose sight of Mia and she slips into the darkness and disappears. Law enforcement surrounds the property and corners her. By 8 a.m. the next morning, they are able to talk Mia out of the woods without any further violence or resistance. Mia was 29 in 2024 when she murdered her mother and father. She pled guilty but mentally ill to both counts of murder. Later, it comes out that Mia told police this: "I do not have remorse. I would not change what I have done. I would do it again. I hate them." She also admitted to going to the house that night with the sole intent on killing her mother and father. What I found telling was that after she mowed down her parents and her brother took off out of the house, Mia went downstairs, hung out there for a while, then returned upstairs and fired several more rounds into her mother and father's heads. 2, as she told police, make sure they were dead. She also said that her brother was not among the, quote, main targets that night, but she would not have been sad had a gunshot killed him too. Just before her sentencing, Mia sent the judge a note. "I would like to petition the court to remove the media from the room on sentencing on behalf of my family and I. My brother's children don't know about the case, and they are too young to know. The less media attention my case gets, the better." An odd thing to worry about, that is, after you murdered the children's grandparents. Mia fired her attorney at one point and demanded that the state seek the death penalty against her. She's all over the place, right? As of this date, she has not yet been sentenced. The Bailey family has pleaded with the public to focus on how the Baileys lived, not how they died. I love this family. I have to be honest. I love their attitude, and I love the way they approach tragedy. I want to conclude by saying that these cases of children killing their parents are jarring and leave us with more questions than will ever be answered. As I write this episode, news breaks that noted famed director, actor, producer Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered by their son, with early reports claiming the son slit their throats. Why this happens, I have no answers, and yet I have never seen a case that does not involve mental illness on some level. And we all know this. If you don't fix the root of a problem, the problem not only persists and grows deeper, but gets a hell of a lot worse. Be safe, be aware, be alert. Sources for this episode include unremorseful woman brutally killed Southern Utah parents, tried to kill brother, police say, by Pat Reevey, KSL.com, June 19th, 2024. Attorney for Mia Bailey's siblings speaks about honoring memory of murdered parents by Brian Schnee, KUTV, November 7th, 2024. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinus, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Music by Epidemic Sound. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.